Okay, so welcome back. We're gonna do 8-1 today. I'm trying a slightly different setup. We'll see if this maybe works better. I think it's gonna be more like being like in class because I'm gonna be writing and you'll also be able to see my face, which I think is nice. So 8-1 is continuing systems but now solving them algebraically. So the problems we were doing before, we just graph them and wherever they intersect is great. The one limitation of that obviously is if it doesn't lie like on an intersection of grid points. So I've got my grids here real quick. If it were to be like, you know, in the middle of which you can kind of see that. So if it were like in the middle of a square, obviously that is not easy to determine what the solution is. So graphing isn't necessarily the best. Also, maybe your equations are just, complicated, like large. So it's not complicated, but maybe like a really large intercept or kind of a annoying slope to deal with, like 11/27, something like this. That wouldn't be very fun to graph. So solving algebraically is going to be what we do in this section. So section 8.1 is solving systems algebraically. And, as usual, I am going to upload the notes. So if you don't want to write things down or if there's something you can't quite see, that's fine. Now, when you are solving systems, there are two main techniques. And the first one is substitution, and the second one is elimination. I don't care, as usual on exams, which you decide to solve by. I think in Hawks, the same thing. They tell you to solve by one technique or another. I don't really have any way of checking whether or not you do that. On the exams that you're going to do online when you submit your solution, I don't care what technique you use. All that's important to me is that you find a technique that you like and that you can do. I will say that for many problems, the substitution technique for two systems of two equations is pretty easy and students tend to like it. The elimination technique, however, is how computers solve, and if you have any more than two equations in your system, you're going to end up using elimination. If you've done matrices in previous classes, matrices operate using elimination. Okay, so let's go over the substitution method. So what we're going to do is we're going to first solve for one of the variables in one of the equations, and then we're going to substitute it into the other. The reason we do this is going to get rid of one of our variables. So first, let's do substitution. Okay. So solve for one variable in one of the equations and sub into the other. And we may have already done this. I can't quite remember. We may have already done this sort of technique and I just didn't tell you what we were doing. The other one is elimination. And a quick summary of it is we're going to add equations together to eliminate a variable. Okay, so in the next video we'll start doing actual examples.